As she sat watching the world go by, something caught her eye. It wasn't so much its color or shape, but the way it was moving. She squinted to see if she could better understand what it was and where it was going, but it didn't help. As she continued to stare into the distance, she didn't understand why this uneasiness was building inside her body. Listen to me. There is a battle happening right now. Not outside, not in the world around you, but inside you. A war between the person you are and the person you are meant to be. And if you don't wake up and fight, you will lose. Some of you are sitting here frustrated with life, tired of struggling, feeling like you're stuck in the same cycles, the same habits, the same weaknesses. You wonder why nothing is changing. But let me ask you, when was the last time you took a hard, honest look at yourself? When was the last time you stopped making excuses, stopped blaming others, and decided to take full responsibility for your life? Because here's the truth, no one is coming to save you. No one is going to fix your laziness, your fear, your weaknesses. No one can change you except you. And that's why you need to hear this today. Not just hear it, but let it shake you, let it challenge you, let it force you to look in the mirror and decide, who will you become? You sit here today, maybe with dreams, maybe with regrets, maybe with a fire inside you that's barely flickering anymore. You see, the world around you will tell you a lie so convincing that most people never escape it. It tells you that if you just change your environment, if you just fix your circumstances, if you just wait for the right opportunity, everything will fall into place. But I'm here to tell you the truth. No amount of external change will ever fix what is broken inside you. You can change your job, change your friends, change your city, change the way people see you, but until you confront yourself, nothing changes. You will still wake up the same person with the same weaknesses, the same struggles, the same fears. Because your biggest enemy is not out there. It is not your past, not your circumstances, not the people who have wronged you. Your greatest enemy is staring right back at you in the mirror. And if you do not fight that battle first, you will spend your whole life running from discomfort, from discipline, from responsibility. You will run from accountability, from self-examination, from the painful but necessary process of real transformation. You can lie to the world. You can pretend to be something you're not. You can deceive people into thinking you are stronger, wiser, more disciplined than you really are. But deep down you will know the truth. Some of you are tired of fighting the same battles over and over. You fall into the same habits, the same weaknesses, and you wonder why nothing is different. But listen to me. If you don't change your heart, your mind, and your discipline, no amount of effort will make a lasting difference. Because change isn't about doing better for a day, a week, a month. It's about becoming someone different. And becoming someone different requires a level of honesty most people are too afraid to face. It requires you to sit alone, in silence, without distractions, and truly ask yourself, who am I? What am I really doing with my life? What is stopping me from being the person I was meant to be? And when you find the answer, because if you're truly honest, you will find it, you will be faced with a choice. Either keep running or stand and fight. But let me tell you, fighting isn't easy. It means you will have to tear down the lies you've built around yourself, the excuses, the justifications, the blame you've placed on others. It means looking at yourself with brutal clarity and saying, I am not who I should be. And that is the hardest thing in the world to do. Because we love to justify ourselves. We love to believe that we are better than we are, that we are victims of circumstance, that we are just unlucky, that if people understood our struggles, they wouldn't expect so much from us. But the truth is, the only thing standing between you and the person you could be is you. No one is holding you back from becoming disciplined, from becoming stronger, from gaining wisdom. No one is stopping you from waking up earlier, working harder, cutting out distractions, and committing to something greater than yourself. No one is making you waste time. No one is forcing you to stay the same. That's you. That's your decision. And until you take responsibility for that, you will never change. Some of you might say, but I've tried before, I've failed. So what? Do you think failure means stop? Do you think failing once, twice, even 100 times is an excuse to quit? Every person who has ever done anything great has failed over and over and over again, but they got back up. They kept fighting. And the difference between those who grow and those who stay the same is simple. Those who grow refuse to let failure define them. So don't tell me you've tried. Try again. Don't tell me it's too late. It's only too late when you decide it is. Don't tell me you're tired. Everyone is tired. The question is, what will you do with your exhaustion? Will you let it be an excuse, or will you use it as fuel? Because listen to me, there is no secret formula for becoming better. There is no shortcut, no magic moment when everything suddenly becomes easy. Improvement comes through war. A war against laziness, a war against fear, a war against the version of yourself that is too weak to do what needs to be done. And you must wake up every day ready to fight, ready to look yourself in the eye and say, I will not waste this day. I will not be ruled by my emotions. I will not let weakness win. Some of you don't even realize how much time you've wasted already. Days, weeks, years spent in mediocrity. But if you hear nothing else today, hear this. You don't have to stay the same. You don't have to wake up 5 years from now as the same person, struggling with the same battles, making the same excuses. But change won't happen just because you want it. It will happen because you decide once and for all that enough is enough. The question is, will you? Will you finally take responsibility for your own growth? Will you finally stop waiting for the perfect time, the perfect conditions, the perfect motivation? Because those things don't exist. All you have is now. And whether or not you walk away from today as the same person is entirely up to you. Comfort is the enemy of greatness. You hear that? The very thing you seek, the thing you cling to, the thing you build your life around, comfort. It's killing you, slowly, silently, and you don't even realize it, because comfort feels good. It tells you you've done enough. It whispers you deserve to take it easy. And before you know it, you've settled. You've let days turn into weeks, weeks into years, and suddenly you wake up one morning wondering why nothing in your life has changed. But the truth? It's because you refuse to fight. You refuse to embrace the battle. You refuse to step into the discomfort that growth demands. Let me tell you something. You will never become the person you were meant to be by choosing what is easy. Not once, not ever. Every single step of real transformation, every step will demand struggle. It will demand suffering. It will demand that you go through things you do not want to go through. But most people won't. Most people will do just enough to survive, just enough to get by, just enough to maintain. And that's why most people never change, because they do the bare minimum, they reach a place that feels good enough, and then they stop. They stop pushing, they stop striving, they stop improving. They allow themselves to believe the greatest lie of all, I've made it. Listen to me, if you're not moving forward, you're falling behind. There is no standing still in life. There is no neutral ground. Every single day you are either getting stronger or weaker. You are either building discipline or letting it slip. You are either training yourself for battle or preparing yourself for defeat. And if you do not actively fight against complacency, you will lose. Some of you have dreams, ambitions, goals. You say you want to be different. You say you want to grow. But let me ask you, what are you doing about it? What actions are you taking right now to ensure that you are not the same person next year that you are today? Because wanting is not enough. Wishing is not enough. Hoping, dreaming, thinking, planning, it is not enough. Everyone wants to be better. Everyone wishes they were stronger, wiser, more disciplined, but very few will do what it takes. Because what it takes is suffering. You think champions enjoy waking up at 4 a.m. to train while the world sleeps? You think the strongest men and women in history were just lucky enough to be born that way? No, they suffered for it. They sacrificed for it. They went through hell to get where they are. And the difference between them and you is not talent, not intelligence, not background, not resources. The difference is they were willing to pay the price. So let me ask you, are you willing to get up when you don't feel like it? Are you willing to push past the excuses, the distractions, the temptations? Are you willing to say no to comfort, no to mediocrity, no to that small voice inside you that keeps begging you to slow down, to take it easy, to rest? Because the path to strength is paved with suffering. You will not grow without pain. You will not improve without struggle. You will not reach your full potential without walking through fire. And the sooner you accept that, the sooner you will change. But I know what some of you are thinking. I've tried before, I've failed. Of course you have. Do you think the road to greatness is smooth? Do you think those who make it do so without falling, without breaking, without bleeding? Failure is not a sign to stop. It is a sign that you are on the right path. But most people fail once, twice, maybe 3 times, and then they quit. They tell themselves, maybe this isn't for me. They retreat back into their comfort zones, back into the safety of mediocrity, and they spend the rest of their lives wondering what could have been. Let me tell you what could have been. It could have been you, stronger than ever before. It could have been you, disciplined, relentless, unshakable. It could have been you finally breaking the cycle of excuses, of laziness, of regret. But you have to decide that no matter how hard it gets, you will not quit. That no matter how many times you fall, you will get back up. That no matter how much it hurts, you will not retreat. Because the cost of growth is high, but the cost of complacency, it is even higher. You think suffering is hard? Try living with regret. Try waking up 10 years from now realizing you wasted your potential. Try looking back at your life and knowing that you could have been more, that you could have done more, but you chose comfort instead. That is real suffering. That is real pain. So let me tell you something. If you want to be different, then act different. If you want to be stronger, then stop running from struggle. If you want to be wiser, then stop wasting your time. If you want to grow, then stop avoiding the very thing that will make you grow, because at the end of the day, it's simple. Either you are willing to embrace the suffering that comes with change, or you will remain exactly as you are. And that choice, it's yours. As she sat watching the world go by, something caught her eye. It wasn't so much its color or shape, but the way it was moving. She squinted to see if she could better understand what it was and where it was going, but it didn't help. As she continued to stare into the distance, she didn't understand why this uneasiness was building inside her body. There comes a time when you have to stop making excuses, a time when you have to stop blaming your past, your circumstances, the people around you, a time when you have to look yourself in the mirror and realize that the only person responsible for your life is you. We live in a world that loves to point fingers, a world that tells you it's always someone else's fault, that you're a victim, that your failures are because of what they did, because of what you didn't have, because life wasn't fair. But listen to me, if you believe that, if you live by that mindset, you will never change. Because the moment you hand responsibility over to someone or something else, you also hand over your power. You give up the ability to grow. You give up the ability to rise. You chain yourself to your past, to your circumstances, to your weaknesses, and you say, this is who I am, this is all I can be. But that's a lie. And you know it, because deep down you know you could be more. You know you could be stronger, wiser, more disciplined. You know that the only thing truly holding you back is you. So stop running. Stop hiding behind excuses. Stop blaming everyone and everything for where you are. Own it. Own your failures. Own your weaknesses. Own the fact that maybe, just maybe, you haven't done what needed to be done. That maybe you haven't been as disciplined as you should be. That maybe you've wasted time. That maybe you've made bad choices. Because once you own it, once you stop making excuses, then and only then can you change. Some of you have been carrying the same excuses for years. You've been saying the same things, repeating the same reasons, justifying the same weaknesses, and it's gotten you nowhere. You are still stuck in the same cycles, still battling the same struggles, still looking for an easy way out. But let me tell you, there is no easy way out. There is only work, there is only discipline, there is only responsibility. And if you are not willing to take responsibility for your life, then don't expect it to change. Don't expect to wake up one day suddenly stronger, suddenly wiser, suddenly different. That's not how it works. Transformation is not something that happens to you. It is something you choose, and it starts with accountability. When was the last time you truly held yourself accountable? When was the last time you sat down and evaluated your life, your habits, your choices? When was the last time you measured your progress, not based on how you feel, not based on what others say, but based on the cold, hard truth? Because the truth doesn't care about your feelings. It doesn't care about your excuses. It doesn't care about what you meant to do, what you planned to do, what you hoped to do. It only cares about what you actually did. And some of you don't want to face that. Some of you would rather live in denial than admit that maybe, just maybe, you haven't been doing the work. That maybe, just maybe, you've been wasting time. That maybe, just maybe, the reason you are not where you want to be is because of you. But hear me, if you have the courage to face that truth, If you have the courage to own your failures, then you also have the power to change them. Because if your failures are your responsibility, then so is your growth. If your weaknesses are your responsibility, then so is your strength. If your struggles are your responsibility, then so is your victory. But it won't happen if you keep lying to yourself. It won't happen if you keep surrounding yourself with people who tell you what you want to hear instead of what you need to hear. It won't happen if you keep looking for someone to rescue you, to fix you, to carry you. No one is coming to save you. Let that sink in. No one is coming to force you to be disciplined. No one is coming to push you past your comfort zone. If you want it, you have to do it. And that means you have to take responsibility, not just once, not just when you feel motivated, but every single day. Because discipline is not about feelings. It's not about motivation. It's not about waiting for the perfect moment. It's about doing what needs to be done, whether you feel like it or not. It's about showing up, even when you're tired. It's about putting in the work even when no one is watching. It's about refusing to be the kind of person who talks about what they're going to do, who dreams about who they could be, but never actually does anything about it. So let me ask you, who are you? Are you the kind of person who makes excuses? Or are you the kind of person who takes ownership? Are you the kind of person who complains about their struggles? Or are you the kind of person who fights to overcome them? Because in the end, that choice is yours. No one can make it for you. No one can force you to change. You either step up, take responsibility, and do what needs to be done, or you don't. And if you don't be surprised when nothing changes. You say you want to change. You say you want to grow. You say you want to be disciplined, strong, different. But let me ask you, do you know what that will cost? Because real transformation isn't free. It isn't easy, and it certainly isn't comfortable. It will cost you something. And for some of you, that cost will be more than you're willing to pay. You see, everybody wants the reward, but nobody wants the sacrifice. Everybody wants to be stronger, but they don't want to suffer through the discipline it takes to get there. They want wisdom, but they don't want to put in the time, the effort, the humility it takes to learn. They want to be different, but they don't want to give up the things keeping them the same. But listen to me, if you truly want to improve, if you truly want to change, you must be willing to leave something behind. You must be willing to let go of whatever is holding you back, no matter how much you love it, no matter how much it comforts you, no matter how much it feels like a part of who you are. Because growth demands sacrifice. You cannot hold on to weakness and expect to become strong. You cannot hold on to distraction and expect to be focused. You cannot hold on to laziness and expect to be disciplined. You cannot hold on to the habits, the people, the excuses that are keeping you in the same place and still expect to move forward. Some of you know exactly what I'm talking about. You already know what you need to give up. Maybe it's the hours wasted on meaningless distractions, the time spent indulging in things that bring you no value, the relationships that pull you away from your purpose instead of pushing you toward it. Maybe it's the fear that paralyzes you, the doubts that whisper you can't do it, the voice inside that tells you to quit when things get hard. And if you refuse to let those things go, you will never change, because the cost of growth is high. It will cost you comfort, it will cost you friendships, it will cost you your old identity, the version of yourself that was okay with being average, the version of yourself that settled for less. It will cost you the right to be lazy, to make excuses, to blame others. It will cost you the life you have now for the life you could have. And the question is, are you willing to pay the price? Because some of you will hear this and walk away unchanged. You will hear it, you will nod your head, you will feel motivated for a moment, but when the time comes to actually make the sacrifice, you will hold on. You will convince yourself that it's not the right time, that you don't have to let go yet, that you can change without giving anything up. But that's a lie, and you know it, because deep down you know the truth. You know that the only way to be better is to leave behind everything that is keeping you from it. But that's hard, isn't it? That's painful, because some of the things you need to let go of feel like home. They feel safe, they feel comfortable, and the thought of walking away from them, of stepping into the unknown, of facing the pain of growth, it terrifies you. But hear me, comfort is not your friend. Comfort is the enemy of progress. It is the place where dreams go to die, where potential is wasted, where greatness is suffocated. And if you refuse to let go of comfort, you will never reach the level you were meant to reach. Some of you have people in your life right now who are keeping you small. People who do not push you to be better. people who do not challenge you, people who encourage your excuses instead of holding you accountable. And as much as you love them, as much as you want to bring them with you, you know that if you stay around them, you will never grow, because not everyone is meant to go where you are going. Not everyone will understand the path you are on. Not everyone will celebrate your growth. In fact, some people will resent it. Some people will try to pull you back down because your improvement exposes their complacency. And you have to be willing to walk away. You have to be willing to say, I will not let anything or anyone keep me from becoming the person I was meant to be. And if that means walking alone, if that means stepping into the unknown, if that means losing relationships, then so be it, because the alternative is worse. The alternative is waking up 5, 10, 20 years from now the same person you are today. The alternative is realizing that you traded your potential for the illusion of safety. The alternative is regret. The kind of regret that stays with you, that haunts you, that reminds you every single day that you could have been more, but you weren't willing to pay the price. And I don't want that for you. I don't want you to look back on your life and wonder what could have been. I don't want you to waste years holding on to things that are keeping you weak. I don't want you to be one of those people who talks about change, who dreams about change, but never actually change, because that is not who you were meant to be. You were meant for more. You were meant to be strong. You were meant to be disciplined. You were meant to rise above your circumstances, above your fears, above your past. But none of that will happen unless you are willing to pay the cost. And the cost is high, but hear me, it is worth it. It is worth every sacrifice, every struggle, every moment of pain, because what you gain in return is something no amount of comfort, no amount of excuses, no amount of temporary pleasure could ever replace. What you gain is freedom, the freedom to live without regret, the freedom to know you gave everything you had, the freedom to look yourself in the mirror and be proud of the person staring back at you. But that freedom isn't given, it's earned. And the question you have to ask yourself right now is, are you willing to earn it?